1995's Jade on Kill by Kill After Dark. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the sexy streets of San Francisco. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, but after dark. That's right. We're no longer talking about horror movies every other week. Now we're talking about the most erotic thrillers that have ever donned the silver screen. Well, I don't know if they're so much erotic. That's what we're here to decide. And there's really only one person I trust to watch this movie next to me. And I'm very nervous about it. Some of the scenes, I just don't want her to see me watching. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I think I can hear you.
I'm sorry. I'm on my yacht. I'm recording from my yacht.
Okay.
I bought a yacht today. Do you know
Excellent.
why?
I don't know why. What?
Because we were featured in Variety.
Oh, that's right.
Our homely little podcast is featured as in a write-up of some of the let me look at this again. The best horror podcasts.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
So I took that to the bank. I printed it out. I showed it to a loan officer. I said, please give me $100,000.
Okay, sure.
And now I have this yacht.
That is a very quick turnaround because although this will be coming out in the first Friday of November, this actual article came out at the last week of October. So that's a very quick turnaround from article to $, $. You figured it out, Gina.
Oh, I didn't get any money. I showed them the article and said, well, the money's coming. And they said, okay, well, here's your loan. Surely you'll be able to pay this back. That's how these things work, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how things work. And speaking of how things work, let's talk about how assistant district attorneys lead murder investigations with sexy results. In 1995's Jade, our first entry in our After Dark series. Now, we've talked about this for a while. We've kind of ventured into this territory a little bit when we covered that one episode of Silk Stockings and when we talked about the seduction on Patreon, and then eventually when we released that episode on our main feed, When You Almost Died.
Yes. That's still a personal favorite of mine. Not the dying, the episode of seduction. Yes.
And so we figured we don't listen, there's only 3 seasons of Hannibal, but fingers crossed for a 4th. But there's only 3 seasons. Like we can't go back to that all the time. We like any delicious meal, we want to stretch it out. So what better way to prepare us for 2022's return of Hannibal than to talk about the sexiest erotic thrillers that Hollywood has ever produced. And I can't think of a better one to start with than William Friedkin's Jade.
We are being extremely generous in describing it as both erotic and a thriller.
This feels like Joe Esterhaus's extras from the Basic Instinct file. Is like, well, this is the one part I didn't get anal into Basic Instinct, so I really want to get that into a movie.
Well, I think the problem is like he was a little disappointed that nobody by 1992 was shocked by the idea of bisexuality at that point.
Right. Yeah.
So he had to try a little harder to freak out the old ladies in the Midwest. So, what would be absolutely repulsive? Oh, okay. I see anal sex, an act so horrifying, so repugnant to human decency that the only explanation of why someone could possibly willingly engage in it is, quote, hysterical blindness.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm unaware of certain things. I wouldn't call myself a sexpert, but do you have to, is hysterical blindness attached to your anus? Like, I thought that was more like a mental thing. It's not, does it act like poppers?
she just, checks out completely because, in her normal life, she can't even, she can barely enjoy sex with her husband. So, I mean, granted, he's a complete scumbag, but.
Right. And he's also played with zero sexual chemistry on screen by Chaz Palminteri.
Oh my God. She has, the lack of chemistry between anybody in this movie is stunning. It is incredible to me.
It is wild. Like, my guess is there's more sexual chemistry on scene in the average CSI show than this movie, which is weirdly stacked in the beyond the main triumvirate of the movie. There's just a lot of good people involved in a very trashy shit show that is Jade.
It's a trashy movie that wants desperately to be a classy movie.
Oh yeah.
So, you have like classical music on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And you've got this extremely convoluted plot because if you just make it your basic murder mystery, it's like, oh no, that would cheapen it.
Right. I mean, this is not so much a who done it, but who didn't do it, because at the end there's like 14 killers. And like, there's just an endless array of people just thrown at the camera like, yeah, that person had a role in it. Yes, this person is shooting at people too. It's a cavalcade of people involved in murdering people.
And all of this is because everybody is either a sex worker or going to sex workers.
Yeah.
Because apparently, anal sex, using a dildo, performing oral sex on a woman is so shameful and sleazy and embarrassing that you have to skulk around and use pseudonyms and blackmail people to hide these deviant acts you commit.
And this is all meant, as you said, to sort of freak out, ladies in the Midwest. But the wildest part is that we're to believe that all of the people involved in this movie and hearing this information are going to go, they're aghast at the very idea of anal sex. And why shouldn't they be? They live and work in San Francisco. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm just going to throw this out here. I hate to, stereotype the town or anything, but if you are going to be in any town that has a ongoing awareness of what anal sex is, I don't know, San Francisco might be one of them, but this movie treats it like this is happening in Illinois. It's just fucking wild.
Well, yeah, the movie was released in 1995, but everybody's sensibilities put this in like 1965.
Right.
And we didn't mention the best part is this movie. It's directed by William Friedkin.
I know. Isn't this fucking wild? This is our second Billy Friedkin movie of the year, and you can't ask for two wilder extremes than The Exorcist to Jade. Like, wow, you are in the wilderness at this point.
Well, here's what I think. I think that he's trying to do his own. He's dipping back into his own well in certain ways.
Sure.
There's a car chase a la The French Connection. Now, granted, it is the stupidest car chase you'll ever see in your entire life.
But I think that's where you can tell the William Friedkin part is happening, because he's suddenly excited to make a movie in those moments where he's like flipping cars and doing all these practical car gags. And you can tell like this for him is the sexy part of the movie. And the sex part of the movie is about as unsexy as it gets.
Oh my God.
Fuck.
But yeah, and then he's dipping into the well of cruising.
Sure.
In which, he is, kind of getting his hands dirty and going on the grimy side of weird sex and people that take money for sex and people who have to sneak around and hide what they're into because it's very shameful and decent society would never understand it. And it's that, but in 1995 with, oral sex on a woman.
my God. Like, but that oral sex scene, by the way, if people are waiting for us to describe the plot, that's not what After Dark is about. We are not going beat by beat through this movie. We're going all over.
No, you really need a serial killer wall to like follow this plot, and it's really dumb. And if you watch, you can kind of guess pretty early on who the main offender is. Yeah. And it's like one of those like, oh, it's this guy. Oh wait, no, it's the guy you thought it was the whole time.
Right. Yes. And then the red herrings are also not red herrings. They also kill people. So like,
yeah, because everybody in this movie except David Caruso, who is such a fucking wet noodle of a leading man in this. He looks. You should not look like when you're in an erotic thriller. You should not look embarrassed to be in an erotic thriller, and he doesn't even really get a sex scene. He gets the start of one, but he's like, no, I cannot.
And legally he can't, but also legally he can't get into a hot fucking pursuit, and yet he does that as well. Like, I mean, he should be up on charges. He should not be in public office. This
for nearly running people over in a parade with the very slow car chase
that literally becomes a beyond just a mere crime. It becomes a hate crime at a certain point, where you have to it keeps going this. Trying to drive through a Chinese New Year parade or something akin to that. We're not given any ideas because the Chinese population of San Francisco are about as addressed as the same thing as like trees and parks. They just exist in this town, but we don't speak to them directly.
They're always all in colorful costumes.
Right. Yeah, almost everyone is in a colorful costume here for reasons I can't even begin to address. And at one point I was very fearful because Victor Wong, our friend from Prince of Darkness and Big Trouble in Little China and literally dozens of other movies, shows up in a thankless role as a guy who identifies the symbol for Jade. Like, you had to go deep into Chinatown for this? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I got a guy on the inside. He knows what Chinese symbol lettering means. What?
Well, yeah, you buried the lead that they found this symbol because the murder victim collects little cigar boxes full of pubic hair.
And if there's anything you want to collect after having sex with somebody, it's their hair.
I just picture with a little pair of nail scissors in its bedside table.
Now hold on. Now listen, this sex that I paid for is great, but I have one more request. Here's an extra 100 on the night table, honey. I'm gonna snip. Like, Jesus Christ.
And that scene where he's just flipping open these little boxes. It's like, very, very tight close up of pubic hair. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this.
I don't know how anyone is supposed to feel about this. It's just like, it really feels like unused ideas from Basic Instinct. Ideas that were deemed stupid and unnecessary. He's like, well, I'm going to keep them in a folder. I'm going to use this someday. It's like, honey, no, you don't need to use that. That's a dumb idea. You throw that in the ocean. You just let that die.
My favorite scene of pearl clutching is when they're looking, I forget, I might have been the victim's house, but they're still going through yet another, you're like, what a freak this guy was.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, oh, and the one guy, the one detective was like, he like picks up a pillow. He's like, oh, this is a pillow. It positions you. Like, okay, you're trying to tell me you've never heard of anybody using a pillow to kind of prop themselves up a little bit?
Like, you won't believe this. These people want to have better sex. I can't fucking deal with this. Like, I'm sorry, Larry or PD or whatever the fuck your name is. Some people like to have pleasure while having sex. It's not enough to have 3 pumps and a dump. You're like, It is so fucking odd, this thing.
You take all that weight in your knees like a man. Don't comfortably dispense that weight.
Oh, like you might have a better sexual experience and your partner might. Well, no.
Whoever heard of such a thing?
No. That is not the way it goes in Petey's household. That entire scene, like that could just be the show. We could just talk about the sheer number of dildos, because at a certain point, why are you buying more? I think you have what you need. Like, is everyone bringing individual dildos and they're like, well, I paid for the sex and I used it here. I'm not taking this back. So it becomes a repository of everyone's used dildos. Who has to put them in the drawers afterward? Like, is that a maid service? Does he have a special person assigned to, all right, they had sex at the house, they paid me for it. Now retrieve the videotape of them having lifeless sex with a woman they paid to do it. And also put the dildos in the drawers.
Just throw them in there like Gideon Bibles.
Oh my God. Now it gets even better, because after Petey like reads the instructions for this, sex wedge, David Caruso,
he's just utterly baffled at this. Like, he has never heard of anybody using a pillow to help with things.
Oh, sweet Jesus. David Caruso is like, oh man, yeah, this is crazy. And then he opens up a mini fridge, not even a full fridge, a mini fridge. And he goes, oh, it's full of Cristal, champagne, Wolfgang Puck. This is a fuck house. You're right. Wolfgang Puck frozen pizza. That's what throws it into fuck house territory.
This is a fuck house.
This is a fuck house, but it's not a fuck house until frozen pizza in a mini fridge, again, does not keep frozen pizza frozen, which is an element of frozen pizza that is necessary for its long-term longevity.
I'm just getting a great deal of amusement imagining some dude watching this movie and then like inviting a girl over to his house, like, and then he opens the door. He's like, "Hello, welcome to the fuck house."
I have all sorts of dildos in drawers. Don't worry, I haven't organized them in any way. We're just gonna sift through them as the night goes on. Now, if you get peckish, I've got unfrozen frozen pizza in the mini fridge. We can just pop that in the middle of our fuck fest.
Yeah, you got the live, love, laugh pillow that you're going to use.
Some wooden signage, everything you need for a fuck house.
It's sort of like Joe Esterhaas was listening to the lyrics of Super Freak and was like, how can I make a movie out of that?
Listen, give me 6 hours and an 8 ball, and I think I can push this out. And that's what he did. He totally pushed this out.
He sure did.
Leaving a prolapsed anus in the shape of Chaz Palminteri, eating out Linda Fiorentino, one of the most attractive women ever produced on Earth, in the most unsexy way possible, on her stomach. Like, that is not where her vagina is located. Everyone, the vagina is below the stomach, just if you're looking. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm really stuck on that. She only does these things because of hysterical blindness.
Hysterical blindness. An idea that we're given when Billy Friedkin, desperate to give this movie any kind of life he can, equips a Steadicam operator on an escalator at the Los Angeles Convention Center and just sends it up to a random corner where Linda Fiorentino rather listlessly, recounts this speech that she has about how people who, commit violence at work have hysterical blindness. Somehow this has something to do with the movie, and everyone is pissed that she has said this.
Well, yeah, I mean, and also, it's one of those, great, she's really talking about herself moments.
It only misses her just lightly tapping her nose as the camera is focused on her. And then one of my absolute favorite scenes in the entire movie, when Linda Fiorentino makes a naked phone call to Chaz Palminteri. And am I supposed to be erotically charged by the idea of a naked woman making a phone call? Like,
I mean, unless they had like one of those like super cool video phones.
Well,
this was pre FaceTime. So yeah, I guess you just got to put that image in someone's mind. You could totally do that in jogging pants and a t-shirt. Yeah,
right.
You're totally naked right now.
You can say you're naked. You don't have to actually do it. It just gives the impression that she's looking at herself in the reflection of the hotel room doing it. And she has chosen the oddest position to be in, when she has slid almost her entire ass off of the seat and is trying to achieve the almost the Titanic draw me like one of your French girls positions on this chair while making a phone call. And it's just like, why?
Presumably,
fucking why?
Presumably somebody in the making of this movie has had sex at some point.
It is doubtful.
But everybody, all the sex in this movie, and I guess it's supposed to emphasize, the coldness, the lovelessness of it. Mm-hmm. But it's just everything is done in the most awkward positions. Like the one scene I love in which they find the video of Linda Fiorentino, and she falls out of bed in one scene.
Yeah.
And then they just go ahead just continue it on the floor. And then she has this scene like later towards the end of the movie where she's upset that David Caruso has turned her down. Yeah. And he thinks she's a murderer. So she goes and engages again in loveless sex with yet another position for female oral sex. I'm not quite sure how it works. He appears to have he keeps me doing it directly from the front, which no, that's the little under. Yeah. You can't be just grinding your face, in their pubic bone. Yeah. And then she's got a stocking pulled over her face for some reason.
Like she's robbing a fucking 7-Eleven.
And it's like, okay, is he choking her? Because that would not be choking her.
No,
I mean that's a thing. I get that, but I mean, but like that's just do you have a high McDonough fetish? What are you doing here?
Is this like I came into your room to rob your jewelry and like, oops,
but she didn't have it on the whole time. It's like she stops and wait a minute. Let's make this really freaky. I'm gonna pull this pantyhose over my head.
Oh, and the movie is scored in such a delightfully insane manner. Like it has this faux Mikado that it's constantly playing over and over.
Like I said, it's trying to be very classy.
And then there are moments where the music just stops, like the tape ran out and they forgot to loop it or something like that. And it just 30 seconds later becomes some other musical piece. It is wild. One of my favorite early scenes when we discovered the body of this, I don't know. I love when you introduce a murder victim by pictures of him with Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, these not even Photoshopped. Like, what would this just been like somebody cutting out pictures and like gluing them? Because there are a lot of these, and they are all.
They're all terrible.
Are terrible. Not nearly as terrible as David Caruso's album of college memories.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
where they all went to college together.
I mean, wow!
It's like David Caruso at 40, with like superimposed over a guy wearing like a University of Southern California.
Like they should be wearing sweaters like an Animal House that just say college across them, like no identifying marks. But this guy whose murder sets off the entire investigation, he's killed off camera, but underneath one of because his home is like a war crime. Like, he has all of these antiquities, none of them from America, just stolen from all around the world. And he's killed behind this silk screen, and the craziest looking blood comes out from underneath it. It's like they killed a T-1000. It is so silvery.
It is silvery, isn't it? I noticed that. I'm like, why is it like glittery almost?
Because it's 1995 and CGI is not great. So when they say like, oh, we'll put the blood in after the fact, like, that's as good as digital blood got in 1995. It looks terrible. Just terrible.
And you know what? And it also features one of my very favorite things that I'm sure I've mentioned on this podcast before in cop thriller, murder mystery movies, in which this dude is basically, he looks like he's been skinned.
Yeah.
And he's nailed to a wall. With like,
I mean, the strength it takes to put this person in this position.
And he was like murdered with like an African battle axe or something like that. And a very serious David Caruso leans in very closely to the body, looks at it for a moment, then says, "This is rage." Oh,
nailed it in one.
Is that right?
David Caruso is swimming in his clothes here. Like, he's
God.
Twice
Remember
in the movie, people call him a skinny ass, and it is the most accurate statement in the entire thing.
Remember when he was like a thing for a while?
And he left NYPD Blue to do shit like this. Like, this was supposed to be him being a fucking movie star. He has zero on-screen dazzle. It is a performance for no one. He just is just a skeleton hobbling around, a ginger skeleton, pale as all fucking get out. And we're supposed to believe that Linda Fiorentino, again, one of the most attractive, sexy women to ever don the silver screen, is torn between this wet fucking noodle who's been dipped in Ronald McDonald hair, and Chaz Palminteri as the guy who humps you so poorly you cry during sex. This is her push and pull. Like, who is this movie for? Who am I supposed to root for?
Yeah, he's very, like I said, he either looks embarrassed or just looks sullen. Like when he sees Linda Fiorentino engaging in these, these extremely kinky, never before heard of sexual acts, like his expression is completely unreadable. Like, I don't, what is he turned on by this? Is he repulsed by this? Is he concerned about this? I can't tell because he has no expression on his face. And it's very weird. And I don't know if this was a choice he made or that he's just not a very good actor.
Yeah. Either way, someone at Paramount should have gone, listen, we've watched a week's worth of dailies. I know this will bump up the expense of this movie, but there's no way he can be a protagonist in a movie. He's fucking terrible at this. He is good in that Session 9 movie that was shot on digital video.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess he was all right in that.
Because he's a Long Island asshole in that. Like, it completely makes sense. Like, he's just yelling and angry, and he's great at it. Like, if you want to watch a great horror movie once, Session 9 is for you. Fully recommend. You're not going to watch it. You're not going to ever want to watch it again. Rent it, but it's good.
Yeah, here he's supposed to be like, I really do think he's supposed to be the film's moral center. He's the only one that doesn't take advantage of her. Even though she's throwing herself at him.
And even though he quote unquote loves her. Yeah.
Right. And I am unclear as to why they can't be together. I don't follow. I have not been. This is the second time I've watched this movie. Now, granted, it's been 25 years since I watched it the first time. This is my
second time too. I didn't run to own this on DVD once upon a time.
Yeah. Oh God, no. I'm very happy that I did not have to pay to watch this. It's on Prime. but I'm unclear as to, if obviously things are not working out with her and Chaz Palminteri. I don't know why. I mean, unless it's just, the money that keeps her.
It's money and it's politics because he's so well connected. And I guess that's some of it. It's just all very confusing and underexplored because ultimately what this is supposed to be is a murder mystery without any mystery to it, because every other person you're introduced to is part of it, including Richard Crenna, an actor I love, is just here slumming it in one set.
If you ever want to hear Richard Crenna say the phrase pussy hair, you're in luck, my friends, because he's also an incorrigible scumbag in this. Like everybody except David Caruso's character.
Yes. I mean, the one selling point is that it's like character actor heaven, because you have Holt McElhaney as his second in command.
He looks like a baby.
He looks so fucking young, like he just graduated college or something. It's crazy how young he looks in this. And yet Donna Murphy, an actress I also love, looks eternal. Like she has never fucking aged. It is wild.
And you got Michael Biehn with a shitty mustache.
Oh yeah.
I just want to rip that thing off his face. I swear to God.
But if anyone in this cast, like honestly, if you're going to cast two hot dudes to be torn between Linda Fiorentino, it would be Michael Biehn and Holt McElhaney. Like,
well, I feel like the main reason he had to grow that mustache or have it pasted onto his face or whatever is that, basically David Caruso is like, yeah, no, you can't have somebody more handsome than me on this set.
I think it's because he's doubling on Tombstone, because he has the same mustache.
It worked better in Tombstone, honestly. And in Tombstone, he played a much better scumbag.
Yeah. Yes. But again, none of these people who are very good actors can save this flaccid script. It is just, and every once in a while, there's like a car sequence where you can tell that someone's like the car gags when Angie Everhard gets it twice. Once the stunt performer takes the hit and slams into another car and you're like, holy shit, that looks awesome. And the second time, Gina, it's your favorite. It's an obvious dummy.
Yes.
Right up there with the Get Bunked. It's an obvious dummy. So, like, we haven't strayed too far from the kill by kill tenets.
And like I said, there's a reason. I don't know that we entirely explained why we are taking a little detour into erotic thrillers. I mean, predominantly it's because it's fun. They're fun to talk about. I mean, they're many of them, the majority of them are not good and definitely not sexy.
And unerotic.
Right. But they're entertaining to talk about. They're entertaining to rag on. And there are a few good, genuinely good ones, and we'll get to those. We
will vary from here to there. We won't do all terrible ones. But I feel like if we don't edge to more of the terrible ones than not, I feel like we're lumbering into territory that you're already accomplishing on a different.
Well, no, I mean, don't worry about that. I mean, I could talk about these movies, forever. They're very entertaining to me because it's, a lot of them very much are trapped in amber looks at what the little old lady from Des Moines would be shocked by.
Sure,
like I said, in 1992, it was what she's into men and women. It's like what? Come again?
Well, they tried that a little bit with Angie Everhard, where she's like, "I'm more into women than to men," and there's
but this one
tie straightening in the room,
right? But
it's San Fran fucking Cisco,
right?
Please
Everybody's
continue.
so uptight in this, and just like oh my god, she likes it where. This major urban area could only has one sex worker who will accept and even enjoy anal sex. I'm dubious of this claim.
It has to be one of the biggest businessmen in California or the governor. Those are the only pimps allowed in San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, but like a lot of erotic thrillers are structured like horror movies.
Right.
So we think it's still within our wheelhouse to cover these. And again, they're just fun to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we stretched the bounds of the show when we decided to cover horror-adjacent music videos.
Yeah, and I mean, our Patreon, we've gone completely off the rails in a couple episodes.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about horror movies or anything horror-related at all.
Oh, I still think that punk episode of Quincy is completely horrific. We also talked about Space Vampire from Buck Rogers of the 25th century. This podcast has lost the plot.
Yeah, but we're famous now, so we can do whatever the fuck we want. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
We've been described as, quote, very funny in the pages of Variety.
I agree. I am not going to argue that.
No. So, I mean, not to belabor the point, it's a very weird, joyless movie, but I found it intensely watchable. Like, it just is confounding that all these people could not figure out what the movie really was. It was just all hinged on, oh, isn't it naughty? We're not saying the word anal sex, but we're leading up to it. But why not just say anal sex? It is fucking bizarre town. This movie's prudishness is confounding in every single way.
Yeah, there's like when they kind of use euphemisms and kind of dance around, and everybody's like, you mean she what? No. And it's like, I mean, it wasn't invented in the 90s.
Yeah. I honestly believe there are elements involved in this movie, like, oh, I don't know, Robert Evans, you better believe it, kid, who's, been attached to some of the biggest movies of all time, and also Jade, might have just learned what anal sex is.
I was going to say, come on, are you trying to convince me that Robert Evans never effed anyone in the A? Come on.
I don't know, baby. Robert doesn't play things that way. Nothing against it. Robert's a player. He likes to give as well as take, but through that way. It's just not the way Robert likes it. Robert's tried.
That's an exit, not an entrance.
Does he like maybe a finger in it? You better believe it. You want to go for two? It might be your night.
I mean, come
but
on.
A whole dildo? I'm not sure.
According to Patton Oswalt, he fisted Gil Gerard. I mean.
Oh boy. Any other things to say about this fucking clusterfuck of a motion picture?
I mean, it does have some good kills.
Yes.
Like one thing that's hilarious, particularly about 90s erotic thrillers, is that you can't just no one's ever just shot or stabbed with a knife. They're always a ice picked to death or chopped to bits and skinned with an African battle axe or the other poor bastard who could see the people going in and out of the fuck house. You've got like a spear to the face. I think that was pretty.
I think it's the stand that his telescope is on. That he peeps on them.
That was pretty grody.
Yeah, no, that's a good makeup effect. Like there's a little dash of gore here.
The movie has some style.
Yeah, it's fucking Billy Friedkin. He can't help it.
It is tastefully shot, except for the shot of a deceased Angie Everhart, full frontal on the autopsy table, because for some reason she gets her head gets run over by a car and they have to do an autopsy on how she died. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's a tire tread across her face. Could that have done it, Doc? I guess you need to check to see if she had drugs in her system or anything. But anyway. Right. Like, it wants to be and accomplishes at times to be, tasteful with, a little kink to it. But then you've got these god awful sex scenes that just, and it's and again, I don't know if they're trying to titillate or repel. And it's just like, that doesn't look fun at all.
Well, I think it's time to play everyone's favorite game, Choose Your Own Sex Venture. And that is where we decide, of all the people in this motion picture, if you had to choose one to be the recipient of the sex, who is the most erotic?
I mean, are we talking Jade style or just Jade?
We're talking any style you want. I mean, it's a full fuck house. They've got unfrozen pizzas in the mini fridge.
Can I use the pillow?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, of course you
All
can
right.
use the pillow.
Yeah, you got to get the butt a little higher sometimes.
Right, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Like for me, like Linda Fiorentino is up there. I don't want to put Donna Murphy in this because she's too classy. The same for Richard Crenna for me. Like they're just too classy. So it's either, Linda Fiorentino or Michael Biehn. The mustache works for me.
Really? No, the mustache has got, it's got to be a Cat Murphy, the mustache on or off. Too bad. I can't do just the stash. It just bothers me.
Yeah.
God, for me, do we have to pick a one woman and one man? Or?
No, you can pick. I feel it's down to that, and I can't make a decision between the two of them.
Angie Everhart's a cutie, but
she is, and she's not bad in this movie.
No, she's all right. She's all right.
She's really not. She's okay in this motion picture. I don't believe her touching her bruises. Like that's where you're kind of like, oh,
she don't want to smear that makeup.
Yeah,
I mean,
like lightly.
I have a crush on Holt McCallany from Mindhunter anyway.
Oh yeah,
although I like him more there than in this because here he looks kind of like a weird baby man, and
it's just because he's grown. He has that character actor vibe to him now, and of course he's always been solidly built. He always feels like a tailback,
right?
Something like that. And on Mindhunters, he's more like a fullback, aged fullback. Yeah, no, that all works for me. So that just about does it. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television at thespool.net, and I am on Twitter and Instagram under Gina Does Things. That's GENA, and I am so excited that they spelled my name right in the variety ad. I mean, I would have accepted if they didn't, but that was just a little bit of sugar on top.
No, take it for all it's worth. Of course, you can find us on Twitter and our Facebook group, Instagram, on Letterboxd. On Patreon, we just released our first Halloween commentary. At the end of every month, we're giving a Halloween commentary to everyone at the $5 and above level. And so you're getting 2 shows a month, which I think is a great value if you need more of us. But that just about does it for here. Don't worry, folks. Kill by Kill will be back. The body count will continue. So for myself and for Gina, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.